So, Exodus 5, verse 1. Afterwards, Moses and Aaron went to Pharaoh and said,
"This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go so that they may hold a festival to me in the wilderness."
Pharaoh said,
"Who is the Lord, that I should obey him and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and I will not let Israel go."
Then they said,
"The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Now let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, or he may strike us with plagues or with the sword."
But the king of Egypt said,
"Moses and Aaron, why are you taking the people away from their labor? Get back to your work."
Then Pharaoh said,
"Look, the people of the land are now numerous, and you are stopping them from working."
That same day, Pharaoh gave this order to the slave drivers and overseers in charge of the people.
"You are no longer to supply the people with straw for making bricks. Let them go and gather their own straw, but require them to make the same number of bricks as before. Don't reduce the quota. They are lazy, that is why they are crying out, 'Let us go and sacrifice to our God.' Make the work harder for the people so that they keep working and pay no attention to lies."
Then the slave drivers and the overseers went out and said to the people,
"This is what Pharaoh says, I will not give you any more straw. Go and get your own straw and wherever you can find it, but your work will not be reduced at all."
So the people scattered all over Egypt to gather stubble to use for straw. The slave drivers kept pressing them, saying,
"Complete the work required of you for each day, just as when you had straw."
And Pharaoh's slave drivers beat the Israelite overseers they had appointed, demanding,
"Why haven't you met your quota of bricks yesterday or today as before?"
Then the Israelite overseers went and appealed to Pharaoh.
"Why have you treated your servants this way? Your servants are given no straw, yet we are told, 'Make bricks.' Your servants are being beaten, but the fault is with your own people."
Pharaoh said,
"Lazy, that's what you are, lazy. That is why you keep saying, 'Let us go and sacrifice to the Lord.' Now get to work. You will not be given any straw, yet you must produce your full quota of bricks."
The Israelite overseers realized they were in trouble when they were told, "You are not to reduce the number of bricks required of you for each day." When they left Pharaoh, they found Moses and Aaron waiting to meet them, and they said,
"May the Lord look on you and judge you. You have made us obnoxious to Pharaoh and his officials, and have put a sword in their hand to kill us."
Moses returned to the Lord and said,
"Why, Lord, why have you brought trouble on this people? Is this why you sent me? Ever since I went to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has brought trouble on this people, and you have not rescued your people at all."
Then the Lord said to Moses, "Now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my mighty hand, he will let them go. Because of my mighty hand, he will drive them out of his country." Well done, Tom.
Brilliant. Thank you guys for reading. You might want to keep that passage open, particularly because the microphones weren't working brilliantly. So it might be helpful if you have that passage open in front of you. We're going to look at them together. But listen, quick survey question to start with. Hands up, out of interest, if you can speak more than one language. Hands up if you can speak more than one language. Maybe you speak a different language at home, or you're learning a different language at school. Yeah, quite a lot of people. Yeah, quite a lot of people. I am in absolute awe of you if you can speak a second language. I think it's incredible that you can learn another language, particularly if you've learnt English, because English is so weird. So many strange rules that we make and then we don't even follow them ourselves, do we? I think it must be so hard to have learnt English as a second language. And one of the weirdest things, isn't it? We have all these phrases and expressions. Phrases and expressions. Like, if I were to show you this picture on the screen, could anyone tell me what's going on in that picture? Yeah, go on. It's raining cats and dogs. It's raining cats and dogs. Where does that come on? No one knows where that comes from. It just means it's raining a lot. Raining cats and dogs. Lots of phrases, we don't know where they come from. But actually, quite a lot of expressions that we use all the time, they come from the Bible. Right? Maybe like 100 or so phrases that we use all the time. There's just a few on the screen. Come from the Bible. Maybe you've even used some this morning. Maybe you're a parent and you went into your children's room and said, "Come on, rise and shine, time to get up." Or maybe you've had a boss or a teacher this week saying, "Come on, go the extra mile, more work to do." They all come from the Bible. And actually, there's a phrase that we sometimes use in English that is from the passage that we just had read this morning. I don't know if you clocked that. It's this phrase, trying to make bricks without straw. Making bricks without straw. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, that seems like quite a strange expression because when I think of bricks, I think of something like this. Here we go. Maybe a red brick like this, like we have in our church, or a more boring grey brick like this. I'm no builder, but I think they're made from a mixture of things like clay and sand, and then some chemicals to make them really strong and tough. Bricks. That's what I think of when I think of bricks. So it's a bit strange to me to think about bricks made with straw. Why would you make bricks with straw? It's all soft and fluffy. Well, if you've been here for the last few weeks, you'll know that we are in the book of Exodus. And actually, if you've been downstairs, normally in Sunday Club, you're doing a Bible overview, and you might remember from the story of Exodus that at this point, the people of Israel are in slavery, trapped in Egypt. And actually, it's quite good that we've got a bit of a building site going on today, because that's where you would have found a lot of the Israelites, on a building site, making bricks out of straw. So what they would do, the Israelites and the Egyptians, in harvest time, they would go out and they would gather the straw. They would gather it when it was nice and big. They would store it in barns. They would chop it up to make into the bricks. If they didn't have the straw, the bricks would be really crumbly. I don't know if we've got a picture of what they look like. Here you go. Here are some bricks made with clay and straw. Now, if you didn't have the straw, then they'd be no use to anybody. And we're going to think about what that phrase, making bricks out of straw, means, because that's going to help us to understand what the passage is all about this morning. Now remember, the Israelites, they're trapped in slavery, but God has heard their cries. He's heard them crying out to him, saying, "Free us." And he's called them to go and tell Pharaoh to let them go. He's appointed Moses and his brother Aaron to go and say to Pharaoh, "Let my people go, to go and worship me in the wilderness." And our chapter started, I don't know if you noticed, with the big moment. Moses and Aaron went to the Pharaoh and they said, "Let my people go." It's the big time to go. But what happens? Pharaoh said, "No, I will not let Israel go. I do not know the Lord. I will not let Israel go." Imagine how you might have felt if you were one of God's people, the big moment to come out of slavery. But Pharaoh says no. And in fact, he doesn't just say no, he makes their life a lot tougher. Did you see that? He says this, "You are no longer to supply the people with straw for making bricks. Let them go and gather their own straw, but require them to make the same number of bricks as before. Don't reduce the quota." That means the number of bricks they have to make is the same. They've got to make the same number of bricks, same amount of time, but now they haven't got straw. They've got to go out into the fields and get some more straw. But there are two problems here, two problems. One is, there isn't any straw. It's not the harvest time. There's only little crumbly bits of straw left on the ground. And secondly, it's going to take them forever, isn't it? They're going to have to leave their building site, leave their bricks, and go back out into the fields to try and find some. It sounds like a bit of an impossible task. So how on earth were they going to do that? Well, we're a bit limited on space. We can't really recreate an Egyptian desert and some fields. But let's see if there's a way we can think about what that might have been like for them. So we're going to need an Egyptian ruler. Here we go. There we are. How does that look? It's got a snake on everything. So we've got an Egyptian ruler. Now we need an Israelite worker to help as well. Have we got an Israelite worker? Yes, you'll do. Right, you come here, please. Right, what's your name? No, don't care. Sit down. Right then. I've been thinking, my pyramid's looking a bit tired. Needs a bit of a redecoration. So I think I need some more wallpaper, right? And you, whatever your name is going to help me make some wallpaper. Now then, tell you what I like. I want wallpaper that has my favourite animal on it. You know what my favourite animal is? Yeah, it's a camel. It's a camel. Oh, I love camels. Yeah. So I want you to draw a camel, please. And because I'm such a kind ruler, I'm going to give you a picture of a camel. There we are.
Thank you.
And all I want you to do is to colour it in with this lovely felt tip pen. Yellow, it's my favourite colour. It's everywhere, isn't it? You've got sand, you've got the pyramids, and you've got camels. Yellow, I love it. So, colour it in. Oh, don't start just yet. What are you doing? No. I think, what do we think? 10 seconds? 10 seconds should do it. Let's give you 10 seconds to colour in the camel for me. You lot can help me. Let's give us a nice countdown from 10. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Stop! Let's have a look.
Not quite finished.
Well, it's not. Yeah, it's not very good, is it? Not very good at all. What's the matter with you? You're lazy. That's your problem. You're lazy. But because you probably know better than anyone else, you can keep going. Here's a few more. So, get going with some more, please.
But
What's that?
I'm supposed to be going with the Israelites. We're going to worship God in the wilderness.
Worship God? I don't know this God. What are you talking about? You're not going anywhere. No, you're lazy. Lazy, that's why you want to go. You want to have a holiday. You are lazy. You are not going anywhere. In fact, because you're so rude, I'm going to take that away from you. Go and get your own pen. Oh. No, I've been too kind on you.
Oh.
Right, 10 seconds. Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Yeah, what do you call that?
Oh.
Yellow chin. That's all we got there. Useless. Honestly, these Israelites, all of you, lazy. That's what you are, lazy. Get out of my sight. No, get out of my sight. I've had enough. He was a bit mean, wasn't he? Did you hear what he said? Lazy. Israelite was lazy. Do you think Fiona was being lazy? Not being able to colour that camel in? No, I'm not sure. But did you clock in our reading today? 3 times the Pharaoh said to the Israelites, "You are lazy." Lazy, that's why you're crying out. That's what you are, lazy. This is the first thing I want us to think about from our passage today. Because the people aren't lazy, Pharaoh is not being fair on them. And that's the first thing I think we see from our verses today. Sometimes life is not fair. Sometimes life is unfair. Now, I reckon that's another phrase that we probably all say or think from time to time. That's not fair! Have you ever done that? Maybe that was you this morning. His piece is bigger than my piece. That's not fair. It's my turn to sit in the front. That's not fair. Or maybe we say it in slightly more serious ways. Maybe we've heard the budget and we go, that's not fair. That's not fair. Well, sometimes we might say that and things aren't fair, but quite often we say that, and really, if we're honest, something isn't unfair, it's just a bit annoying or we're a bit jealous. But sometimes things really are unfair. People are treated badly when they really shouldn't be. And we see that here. Pharaoh's already called them lazy. He also says that they are lying about what God has told them to do. He also says that they're lying. And more than that, he's made their work incredibly hard. In fact, it's impossible for them to do the job they need to do without the straw that they need. And that's what that expression that we thought about earlier means, making bricks without straw. It's being asked to do something without having the right tools to do it. It's an impossible job, making bricks without straw. It'd be like going to make a bonfire on Tuesday nights without having any wood. It'd be like trying to make a hot dog without having any sausages. It'd be like trying to brush your teeth without a toothbrush. You can't do it. It's not right. It's not fair. And sadly, in far more serious ways, people are treated really unfairly around the world today. And especially God's people are treated unfairly. That's the first thing I think these verses show us. But thankfully, that is not the only thing we see. And the second thing we see is this. God is always in charge. Even though life is sometimes unfair, God is always in charge. Now, if we just read chapter 5, you might not have seen that. But actually, for those of us who've been here in recent weeks, you'll remember a few weeks ago in chapter 3, God had told Moses to go to Pharaoh, tell him to let the people go, but he'd also said that he wouldn't say yes straight away. He said this, I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless a mighty hand compels them. See, even though Pharaoh didn't know who God was, the Israelites did. The Israelites knew exactly who God was. So what's happening to the Israelites, even though it's tough, it shouldn't have been a surprise to them. Now, Pharaoh doesn't know the Lord now, but he will very soon, because God is about to do some spectacular things. That's what he reminds Moses of at the end of our passage today, at the start of chapter 6. He says this, now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. Because of my mighty hand, he will let them go. See, God is still in control. It is really hard for the Israelites, but God is in charge. God has a plan to rescue his people. Now then, we've been thinking, haven't we, that life is sometimes unfair, but God is always in charge. So just to help us remember that in the week ahead, let's think about a couple of things that I think we see in this passage about what that means for us, how we can respond as God's people now. And the first way is this. We can pray. We can pray. Now, when the Israelites realize they're being treated unfairly, they go to Moses, who's their leader, who represents them to God, and they complain to him. And after that, Moses goes to God, and he speaks to him about all that has been going on. Now, the Israelites and Moses, they didn't get everything right in what they were saying. The Israelites, they didn't speak very kindly to Moses in verse 21. They weren't kind to him. They blamed him for what was going on. And Moses does that a little bit with God when he speaks to him. He says, why did you send me to Pharaoh? Is this why you sent me, just to bring trouble on me? You have not rescued your people at all. But they do pray. They do go to God. It's not right to blame people wrongly when we're treated unfairly. It's not right to blame God when things are hard. But it is right to talk to God about all of these things. Like the Israelites, we can cry out for help. We can ask him to make things better, to rescue us from a difficult situation. And even asking him, why? Why is this happening, Lord? All of those things we can do. We can pray to God because we know that God is always full of compassion and love and mercy for his people. So we can always pray to him. But look, as we do that, we can always also do this. We can remember. We can remember what God is like and what he has promised to his people. See, what made things worse for the Israelites, I think, through that hard time was that they hadn't remembered what God had said to them. Remember what we saw earlier? God had told them that Pharaoh wouldn't let them go straight away. But in the middle of their suffering, they'd forgotten God's promise. I think we can do that as well, can't we? We can let the circumstances, what's going on in our lives now, we can let that affect how we view God. It can make us forget the promises that we have as his people. Maybe we can even sometimes blame God for what's going on. You'll think he's abandoned us. So we need to remember God's promises to us, his people. And you know what? God knows what it's like to be treated unfairly. Do you know what the most unfair thing that has ever happened in the history of the world? Well, it happened to Jesus, God's Son, on the cross. He was accused of being a liar by the Roman officials, by his own people, his own rulers, even though he only ever spoke the truth. He was mocked and spoken unkindly to, even beaten by all sorts of people, even though he only ever showed people love. He was arrested and put on the cross to die, even though he had done nothing wrong. That was the most unfair thing to have ever happened. But of course, God was gloriously in charge of that as well. He planned the whole thing as the way that he was going to bring salvation to all his people throughout history, to rescue his people from sin. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is one in John's Gospel where Jesus is talking to his closest friends before he's about to be arrested. He says this, "In this world, you will have trouble." There we go. You're going to have trouble. He's telling them. "But take heart. I have overcome the world." Jesus knows he's going to the cross, and that is not the end. That is the victory, the start of how he will bring his people home to heaven, to be with him forever, to free us fully from our sins. Jesus has already won the victory for us.